Hello, everyone. Hi, low. I said Nicole Anderson here for with another episode of Create Her Own TV, and today I have Kay here, and I'm actually really excited about this topic because we talked actually about it before, but um, you know what? We're just gonna dive in. We're gonna dive in because it's so interesting to me, and I really think that everybody watching is gonna get a lot out of this as well. So just really quickly introduce yourself, Kay. Give us all of your titles. You've got like 30,000 of them.
I do have 30,000, but I'm not going to go over all of them. But
No.
my name is Kay, and I am the owner of Stems Cheese Charcuterie and Catering. We're based out of LA, and we have a storefront. We do catering, all of that fun stuff. But I also started something called Business Boost Her, and it's working with moms and entrepreneurs on creating a space or like a business that puts wellness first, and then you really worry about all of the other things that come with it.
Mhm.
Um, it's a very holistic approach to business, which we don't do often, especially here in the US. And so I'm really excited to talk about, um, the anxiety that I had and how I've kind of got to a space where I feel aligned and ready, and I don't have that crazy elephant right here anymore. It's just a
Mhm.
little,
It's a turtle now. As you
yes,
said,
I
it's a
call it
turtle.
my little turtle is still sitting here. I still have anxiety. I think that's one of the
Oh
things
yeah,
I
that'll
had.
never go away, will it? But I think a lot of mom entrepreneurs can really relate to that. Like we're always on, we're always doing all of the things. We're always, I mean, not all of us have anxiety, but I think a large a large portion of us do. Um, and you were telling me just to quickly introduce it. You were telling me about what you did. I don't know how long ago you said you did it, but just like a little activity that you did where you wrote down what you did. Was it what you did last year that made you happy?
Yeah, so I wrote down all of the things that made me happy. And this came from a space of like I took stock in like where I was at in my life. I have an incredible friend who has an incredible program called Our Home Flows, and she was doing this exercise where you like take all of the things that you've done in the last week and you write it down, like, and how long you're spending on things. Takes a lot of time.
Mhm.
Um, but it was like really good to kind of take stock of all of the things that I was doing. And I felt like I was in a place where I just wasn't happy. Like I had all of these things I should be grateful for and I should feel fulfilled and all of these things. I just didn't feel it. I felt like when I was working, I was being a bad mom. When I was being a mom, I was being a horrible business owner.
I feel
And
that I've
so,
felt that many times.
right? I feel like it's like the norm as like a mom and an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. They're constantly feeling this like this pull.
It's like
And
this. When I'm good at doing well at this, I'm doing shitty at this. Like it, constant, constant.
constantly. And so taking stock, I realized like what really makes me happy. So I just started to write down all of the things that made me happy. And I kept on coming back to Italy. I'm half Black, half Italian. We went to Italy last year after my grandma passed away, kind of like a little like homage. It was a girls' trip. It was me, my mom, my grandma, and my aunt.
Mhm.
There were lots of wine flowing.
Don't
But
they have it in the streets? Don't they have like little fountains in the streets with wine?
I
I've
mean, I
heard.
never found one of those,
I'm
but
Italian too, so I've researched these things because we're going next year finally. Because my
oh,
maiden name's Romeo, so I'm like straight Italian. But I read about somebody that there's like literally a winery that has a tap outside that there's always like a line of
love
people with
that.
glasses waiting to fill it up because it's
I
free.
mean, I think that's great. It
Sorry, not to interrupt you,
definitely,
but
no,
next
no,
time,
no,
go there
like,
next time.
no, I have to give you a list of all of the places we went and incredible, just, it's just different. It was just different. And I think that I kept on going back to all of the different things that they did. I love that we walked everywhere.
Mm.
I absolutely like, I'm one of those people who people are like, oh, how do you exercise? I hate walking. I tell people all the time, oh, you want to go walk around like the Rose Bowl or whatever? Or like,
Yeah.
I'm not here for that. I don't want to do that. That's stupid. I don't like it. And I still don't like doing that. If I'm walking somewhere, I need to have a purpose.
Right. Right.
And so that was like, and that was kind of like how it was in Italy. Like the even like the food, it's like they eat, they work hard, they
Mhm.
do all of the things, they vacation, they party. It's everything, right? And I'm like, how do you guys do all of this stuff, but still like have like, how do you not have anxiety? Like, what
Right.
about work? How are you going to pay bills? Those things. And I kept on kind of going back to, we went to a lot of small towns and like conversations that I had with people and watching them just like, you know, it was vacation for me, but they still had to live their lives. So you would see them wake up in the morning, the person who owned the hotel or the Airbnb that we were, or the B&B that we were staying at, and you would watch them get up and walk their kids to school and have that conversation. And you saw that the mornings started really slow. And then during the middle of the day, you started to see this like, this activity of like people working and working hard. And then, you know, by the afternoon, around 3 or 4, you saw another like calmness. And
Mhm.
then it turned into like this incredible, like, party, right? Like people were just
I love
having
that.
fun with one another. And it kind of gave me like the idea of like, what are things that I could change in my life to kind of mimic this
Mhm.
that still allows me to be productive and effective, but also create like a space where I feel more fulfilled. So it started with like the first thing, I'm gonna walk my kids to school in the morning. I live in a small little town. We're about 15 minutes from school walking.
Not bad.
Uh, it takes me 5 minutes to drive. Like, what's the extra, 10 minutes? And then I get 15 minutes by myself. Like, what? Like, that's awesome on my way back.
Mhm.
To kind of just like be in nature. We live in a beautiful space. I'm in California, so we have great weather almost every single day. I mean,
Yep.
even days that it's raining, we walk because it's not rain. It's
It's not real rain.
yeah, there's water
I
coming
thought
from the
when I
sky,
lived
but
in California, I thought it was real rain. Now that I live in Tennessee, I know what real rain is.
yeah, after living in North Carolina for a little bit, yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely know what rain is.
Yeah, you know then.
So it definitely like what were the different things? Oh, let's cook together, right? So there's a lot more of like
Community,
cooking
family
with the
time.
kids.
Yeah.
We buy our groceries. This is super inconvenient. I on my way back from like from school, I walk by Trader Joe's, which
Mhm.
is like one of my favorite stores. Usually I
That's
stop in
that's
and figure
church.
out,
Trader
yeah,
Joe's is church.
what are we going to do for dinner? It's me and my 2 kids. So, it's usually on the way there. What are we going to do for dinner? Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let me grab those
Love
things.
that.
And one, it actually saves a lot of money because things aren't going bad. Um, but two, it creates this like community dynamic with like the kids where they're excited and like all of that stuff, as to what we're going to make for dinner or things like that. And I don't do it every night, or every day, but we do it as often as we can.
Yeah.
Um, and we're very like intentional with our time then, you know. And I kind of came up with this approach that I like to call this 3 C's.
Mhm.
And it starts with calm and then it goes into create. And then the last one is community. So I start my day off doing the things for myself. So morning is for walks, it's for playing with my plants, which I used to kill everything before. And then I realized when I like take time, they're actually surviving. Um, it's my time for like therapy or any of those things that I need to do, working out,
Mhm.
basically all of the things that make me calm, meditation.
Right.
If I want to take an extra 15 minutes, I pass by a park on the way. If I want to go and sit in the park, I can go and do that.
Love that.
Uh, and it then I move into my workday starts at 10 a.m. and I try not to work before 10 a.m. I mean, let's be real, like as an entrepreneur, ish
Always
happens
waking up,
before.
wake up and
Yeah,
the phone opens.
Yeah, like, there's stuff that happens in the mornings. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't happen, but I try to be very intentional about the amount of things that I do in the morning. I definitely don't schedule a ton of things before 10 a.m.
Right.
And then between 10 and like 4 is like my prime create time.
Mhm.
Like those 6 hours of work are the most productive hours of work that I can possibly have. I feel like now I get way more done in
Oh
six
yeah.
hours than I did in the 12, 14-hour days that I was having before because
Mhm.
I have a limit, right? Like I have
Yeah.
like this is what I got to do, this is what I got to get done, and this is how we're going to do it. Um and then at 4 I try to just like wean off. Like this is my community time. This is the time I hang out with like my girlfriends,
Mhm.
or I'll go and, pick up the kids. I mean, when I say hang out with my girlfriends, it's usually my friends with kids. So like what
Yep.
I do together with the kids and all of that stuff, go to the farmer's market, which technically is still work, but I'm surrounded by my community.
Right.
And so I got a shop for the week, but I also get that time to kind of stop and talk with the different vendors and all of that. It's the other thing is it's only 2 blocks from my house. So we walk there. I
Love it.
barely use my car. In California, gas is extremely expensive. And I have an SUV, and last month I spent, I think, like $80 on gas
That's
because that's how
awesome.
little I use my car now.
That's awesome.
And if you're in LA, like you pretty much drive all over the place.
Mhm.
But where I'm at, I live right next to the metro. My community is a place that we can walk a lot, and so and my storefront and our kitchen is right off the metro. So literally, it's like if I don't have to drive, I'm not gonna drive. We're gonna walk. We're
Finding
gonna
parking in LA too is just like
and
it's
it's expensive. Like, so I'm saving money
horrible.
on that front too, it's just it's been like a very interesting transition, but the amount of productivity that has happened. I know I was telling you like I lost 20 pounds just by
Yeah,
like,
by walking,
yeah.
simple shit.
And it's like I'm not changing my like diet too much. I work in the food industry. I'm constantly have to try different things and stuff like that. And we're creating. And so it's like really nice to be able to like not feel guilt when I'm like having to like try different things. And it's like I'm still losing weight because I'm constantly walking, I'm
Yep.
constantly moving, I'm constantly moving that into my body, but also like the like all of the things that you get from walking, it just makes you feel better. It helps
The fresh
alleviate
air, the
anxiety.
sun.
Yeah. So all of these things that like have to do with uh like something that I've struggled with my whole life, all of these things that I'm doing are actually helping with that wellness too. And it's
Mhm.
now starting to be alleviated, not because things are actually like happening in other places, but it's because I'm focusing on creating it a lifestyle and not like I don't have time to go to the gym, right? That's what I say in my head. I really don't have time to go to the gym. And I still feel very like strongly about that. I don't have time to go to the gym because it's not a priority. But
Right.
what priorities are is spending time with my kids. So if I
Mhm.
get to walk with them, I'm getting in my workout while spending
Yeah.
time with my kids. A priority is getting into work. Well, if I walk to work, that's part of everything. Part of our priorities are making sure that we're eating whole foods. Well, with work, I need that too. And so it's about how can you create all of these small little habits and
Mhm.
intertwine them into your day to
Yeah.
create um this like holistic approach. I don't like calling it balance because there's no such thing as balance, in my opinion. I think that
We're forever chasing balance.
yeah,
Forever. But it's
uh,
not. You're
it's
right. It doesn't
exhausting.
exist. But I love the, I think that's something that a lot of boss moms struggle with is actually setting a schedule for yourself and sticking to it. Like that's a really hard thing, especially when you have kids. I mean, it's summer right now, for example. How do we keep that during the summer? We make it a priority. The little habits that we create and we repeat them over and over and over again. Not only is that as evidenced by you changing your, it's changing your life, it's changed your life, it's made it better, but it also trickles down to the kids too. And now the kids have all of these little habits, and they're prioritizing the right things instead of the wrong things. And that's, I mean, you're doing your job. You're doing your job great. And
Yeah,
it's really sad to me that more people don't try to live that way, but a lot of us don't have that experience. We don't have that, we haven't gone to Europe, we haven't seen. And you really only get that here in big city areas, because there's not very many places outside of cities that are walkable.
totally.
Like a rural area, like where I am, I can walk to, I mean, I could walk, but there's not really a sidewalk. I mean, I'd be risking my life to do so. But it's really eye-opening when you compare the way Americans live to the way Europeans live, or people, my experience from the UK, they walk a lot too, where my husband grew up, they're always walking. Um, but it's just these little tiny tweaks are just, they really add up, don't they? They just add up.
Totally. Totally. And I think that, I lived in North Carolina where we're not going to walk on the side of the highway because there's no sidewalks and people aren't
Mhm.
paying attention. And
And during the summer too, when it's like
right.
900 degrees outside.
Yeah. But I think that I also I work with a lot of people in my I don't like calling it coaching, but like mentoring that live in rural areas. And it's like, how do we create the same thing where
Yes.
I can't walk my kids to school? So what are some things that I can do in order to make this like holistic approach to and a lot of times it's like, even though you're in the middle of like nowhere, you have big yards. So like you have other things that we don't have.
Mhm.
So maybe before school starts, going out with your kids, taking a dog out, everybody goes out and you run around. That's something that we've done before when we lived in North Carolina. Out dog went outside, breakfast was done outside, kids were running around for a little bit. I have ADD. I'm positive that my kids have ADD, both of
I think we
them.
all do at this point. I think everybody
Right?
does.
So much noise. But I think like getting that energy out too, it really helps. My son struggles with exactly what I have. He has anxiety and about everything because he
Yeah,
wants everything to be perfect.
my daughter's
And
that way too.
yeah, it's like one of those oh, he's just like me. And then you're like, oh, he's just like me.
Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I passed that on.
Right. And so it's like even the walks in the morning or the running around, it
Yeah,
just allows him to get a little bit of that energy
a
out. And
little bit
so
of peace, yeah, for him.
And so for him too, it's like he has this whole mentality of like, we wake up in the morning, we do the things that calm us. The next thing we do is we go into
I
school and
love
we
that.
create, right? And so he starts his creation period a little bit early, but he gets out of school at 2. And then at 2, it's all about community,
Mhm.
baseball, soccer, after school care, all of those things. How do I get to get in with my community? And then family time.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think it's really important that not only is it important for me, but we constantly I'm reaffirming my kids and what they're doing and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
My husband doesn't live with us. It's a little harder with him.
Yeah.
But
They're
on
like
the
our third
weekend,
child.
yeah, on the weekend we try to the morning starts off with calm. So we go and we walk
Oh my.
to the breakfast, or we go and we walk to the park or something in the morning, and then he gets his time to play with tools, and I'm like, you're creating, and he's like, babe, I'm not woo woo, don't. He's from the South, so he's like, this is California,
Yeah, this is California
right
women's
here.
day.
And then I'm like, oh, and then the night we do movie night and we hang out with our
Yeah.
friends and we go and we barbecue, and those are the things that create community. I'm like, oh, doesn't it feel so good? And he's
You
just like,
know, speaking of community, I think I mentioned this to you while we were talking about the topic, but I noticed that when you look at even just our ancestors, right? Like our ancestors were all about community. Everybody did everything together. If you look at Italy specifically, because,
mhm,
our family's from there, your family's from there. So they were making all of the meals together every day. It was a whole thing. It was they were talking, they were chatting shit all day, peeling potatoes and making dough and all of this stuff. And it's like, I feel like, I don't know if it's just Americans, but I feel like we have lost that. And it's our generation's, I feel like our generation's trying to get that back. Our generation's
Totally.
trying to fix things. And we're really the first ones that have tried to fix things. But that's a whole nother episode.
Uh-huh.
But I wanted to read the breakdown of the thing, that the European way of wellness that I sent you, because I think this is so interesting. So it broke it down into pillars, kind of like yours, but the
Mhm.
pillars were diet and nutrition, physical activity, health and preventative care, work-life balance, mental health and stress management, environmental practices, cultural and social practices, and personal care and wellness. And it broke it down. I'm going to probably break it down even further in the comments below. Not the comments, the caption below. But it's fascinating to even just pick a couple of those that that you can do every single day over and
Mhm.
over and over again, and just make that your day. Clearly, I mean, how long have you been doing this for?
I think it's been like 3 months. And it's just like the difference is insane.
Awesome.
Even looking at like our books, like for our work, it's like we're up almost like 120%.
That's incredible.
Uh, which to me, I'm just like, that wasn't an expectation
Mhm.
at all. That's not why I started this. It was
Yeah.
more personal. But it just kind of translates into everything that you do.
Trickles, trickles, trickles. The ripple effect, right?
Mm-hmm. And it feels good. I feel so much better. And I
Mhm.
think that we forget about, especially as moms and entrepreneurs, how we are supposed to feel. We're always worried about how everyone else feels. And I think that was a lot of like me taking stock in my life. And I think we kind of talked a little bit about that. Like,
Mm.
this became the year of saying no. There was a
Yeah.
lot of things that I was doing for other people because I thought that's what I needed to do in order to be accepted, in order to be like, in order for people to want to be around me, which is like a crazy thing, right? That also comes from generational trauma, but you
Mhm.
know,
A whole nother episode as well.
but I think like that was like one of those things is like I don't have to say yes to everything. I can start saying no, but even on that point of like the community thing, there were a lot of things that I started to say no to as I'm not going to do it for you, but what if we did it together?
Love that.
Like,
I love
oh,
that.
you want to do like you want to do dinner? You want me to do dinners for you or
Mhm.
whatever? Like, I had friends that like I would meal prep for, like, oh, last week you did that. Could I, yeah. Um, we can do that together. Monday night, you can come over, we can do a couple meals, and like
I
I'm
love
down to
that.
do it. Not only am I getting like stuff done, you're getting stuff done, and then I'm not doing it all by myself.
Yes. So
Um,
important. Moms ruin ourselves that way. We just do like it. I think it's not even just moms, women. Like
yeah.
we're programmed to take care of everybody else.
And we
And
think it's gonna be easier. Because I know a lot of times I just said yes because I didn't want to deal with like the like my god sisters and stuff are the ones who would be like, oh, can you like when you make meal prep, can you just make me some extra stuff? No, like I can't. Like I can
yeah.
if you come over and you help me. And a
Mhm.
lot of times what I found was they were like, oh my God, I would love that. Thank you. And like they want to learn the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I just I've been saying yes for so long that like they didn't do it with me. And now it's like we have that moment. And not only that, they're a lot of those people also needed my time as well, right? They
Right.
wanted to spend time with me, especially when
Mhm.
it comes to family. And I'm like, I don't have any time for you. So that's why I started making meal prepping, like, but I can do this when I'm doing this. And it's like, well, now you get the time and you also get the meals.
I
You
love that.
feel fulfilled. I feel
Mhm.
fulfilled. I have a little bit of help. Um, and it just like it. it starts to trickle into all of the other little things.
I love,
Um,
and it's so simple too. It's just something we don't really, it's just there. We don't think about it too much.
no, not until it's like complete chaos and you're trying to
Right.
drowning
Like
and you're
our
trying
lives.
to figure it out. Yeah.
But we prevent it instead of fixing it later.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
tell everybody where we can find you, where we can see what you're doing, where we can listen to you. You're writing a book. Where can we get information?
Yeah, so you can actually find, I just started my Instagram, my personal Instagram, which is K Smith Beesman. On Instagram, you can find me there. And then my store is STEMS CA, which we make beautiful cheese boards. You can definitely check that out if you're into, I like to call it
I can
cheese
vouch for
board.
that one.
Um, that's what we do. So you can definitely check that out. But yeah, I just follow along on K Smith Beesman on Instagram. I'm not doing TikTok yet. I just like can't.
Oh,
My
I don't have
this is
the.
not
I
there.
started it and I'm like, I can't. It's just a lot. It feels like so much extra brain power for some reason. I don't know why. So I just started sharing my reels over and I'm like, I'm not doing anything extra. I'm just gonna share my reels.
Yeah, I've told that that's like a good idea. I just like haven't like gotten into it. I feel like yeah, I need to, especially since I'm writing a book,
Mhm.
which hopefully will be out next year. But it's I'm not really forcing that process. I'm going through it,
Uh,
and
you shouldn't. I don't think anybody should do that deadline
yeah,
wise, especially with such a personal piece like you're creating too. So
yeah,
but I'll link that too below, so people can just click and go straight to your page. And I really appreciate you chatting with me about this today. And I'm gonna look into a few of these things as well. I'm gonna change some stuff. I'm gonna become a European again. I'm gonna go back to my roots. I'm
yeah.
gonna get
It's
really
fun
tan,
when
eat a lot of olive oil.
get tan, eat olive oil, and pasta. You can have pasta. That's what I know. Like we started making our own pasta after we came back. I'm
Oh,
like, it's easy,
it's
and
not
I
hard, is
make
it?
it ahead of time. You put it in the refrigerator in dough sheets, and then I don't use like a chitata or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
I get the machine and hammer it out really quickly. But yeah, it just makes a difference. So
I love that. I love,
yeah,
we're gonna do another episode on pasta making. Okay, everybody, until next time. See
yes,
you there.
so much fun. All right.